Bill? Hi. Can you see us? We can't hear him.
Well, I need to unmute him.
Okay.
A second.
So I'm going to move that we open the meeting at 7:05.
Wait until he says we're ready.
Oh,
You're ready, you're on.
All right, so,
I'd like to make a motion to open the,
Your mic's off.
I'd like to make a motion to open the meeting at 7:06 probably now. Nope, still 7:05.
all right. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? We
Roll
got to
call.
do roll call here. Bill?
Yes.
Mike, yes. Tom?
Yes.
Stephanie?
Aye.
Terry?
Aye.
Okay, unanimous to open the meeting. So, welcome to the September 13th meeting of the Groveland Conservation Commission. We have a quorum with 5 members present, 4 in-house here at Town Hall and 1 remotely, so we will be taking roll call votes. Okay, let's see. All right, so we have, our first item on the agenda tonight is a continued public hearing for One Manor Drive. This is a notice of intent for adding second means of egress on certain buildings and drainage, and third floor, potential third floor addition on building number 2, all within jurisdictional area. So we'll pick up where we left off. At our last meeting,
Do we need to move to open it or no?
yes, we should.
Move to open the meeting for Manor Drive,
Second.
the hearing for Manor Drive.
Yes. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, we'll take a vote then. Terry,
Aye.
Stephanie,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
Mike, yes, and Bill,
Aye.
unanimous.
All right, so as in a butter, I'm going to recuse myself, but I will take great interest in listening.
Yes, so Terry Grimm has recused himself and moved to the audience. So when we left off last time, we pretty much had talked through most of the order in our conditions. We went over some of the special orders of condition, and we sent a draft over to the applicant's representative, and he came back with some comments. So I'm going to let him just tell us briefly what his questions were, and then we can consider, Annie has already added them to the, change the orders. So I'll let you talk, Paul.
Thank you. Paul Bergman, Bergman and Associates. I don't have a copy of my email in front of me that I sent to Annie, but it was basically the construction window, and that had to do with Building Inspector Jocelyn ordering the owner, I guess, to have the balconies and stairs done by the 31st of December. And Annie redlined the draft order of conditions and sent it back, I believe basically agreeing to that. And then there was another thing about stockpiling of materials, and I just said from a practical standpoint, because there's already materials next to building 2, I said from a practical standpoint, if they just stockpile them by the side of the building, away from the stream or the wetlands, and I think she agreed to that. And then,
Seasonal restriction.
Yeah, that was the first one he got.
yeah,
Two changes. Let me look on the.
it was, the order said have all the work done within 2 years, and yet
Oh,
and yet, okay, yep.
yeah, so
And-
it, she changed it to
Yep.
3.
Yep, yep. I think that was it.
Yeah, I believe so.
Annie's not here, this is kind of a side issue, but do you take the green cards? Can
Yeah.
I these are more since we got, since I passed in the first bunch.
So I just, can I ask a question?
Yeah, sure.
So I understand, so the building inspector said this has to be done by a certain date. What that's really critical about is all the other buildings that have occupancy right now, I would assume, correct? I mean,
Are what, Tom?
are occupied right now, putting,
Yeah.
like doing the third story addition and the egress on the building that's burned out is not necessarily a time critical thing from the building inspector's standpoint.
I would agree, and I honestly don't know the sequence of which buildings they're gonna do
Right.
first. I think they are gonna try to get all the stairs done in the same time period, just because it's more efficient. Have a contractor come in and just build out the stairs on all of the buildings. I think there might be a dozen or 14 buildings in that complex. I know there's 7 that are affected by
Yep.
the notice, but yeah.
I guess my concern is, I don't think we should set a precedent. The stairs is one thing, I get that, that's a health and safety kind of thing. But I think allowing them to do the third story construction during the restriction period is, at this point, is only a convenience for the owner. It's not I'm trying to rationalize in my head, how is that a mandate from the building inspector? Because we're gonna have other people then who said, well, I wanted to, I had whatever, I had weather delays, or I had a contractor delay, why can't I do it now during the seasonal restriction?
Yep,
I think that's a slippery slope.
agreed.
Yes.
I think from a contractor's standpoint, a builder's standpoint, as far, they talk about mobilization, demobilization. I would think a contractor would want to move into the Manor Grove site and do all of the carpentry work, all of the construction work while he or she is on site. I know what you're getting at. Another thing, I think in the order of the special conditions, is that they want to schedule delivered to the commission in time of the pre-construction,
Meeting, yep,
yes, at the site.
yep.
And that's not, I'll be getting back to Arrow Point to put that together to submit.
Right.
That was one of the requirements in the special
Right.
conditions.
Right. Yeah,
So-
that's a normal thing.
Right, right.
So what are you saying, Tom?
Well, I'm saying, I'm trying to find a date, I don't know when this was submitted, but I understand the building inspector's concern, and I would agree with the urgency to have this second means of egress for the other units done in a timely manner, and if it's a year, fine, it is what it is. I have no issue with that. What I have an issue is allowing somebody to add a third story onto a vacant building currently under the pretext that the building commissioner the building inspector is the one forcing them to finish that within a year.
Yep.
And the concern is we've asked, and I understand you don't necessarily have that detail of the construction. I'd be curious about, are they gonna have, what kind of equipment are they having there? Because it's one thing if they're driving around in the front yard, maybe the side yard. If they're driving in the backyard, like when we were there, it is, and given the amount of rain we're getting these days,
Yeah.
it's gonna be a muddy mess, and you're 10, 20 feet away from the stream. It'd be
Yeah,
nice to
well-
understand, okay, here's what we're gonna do, here's how we're taking, are they craning the whole roof up and putting the walls on? Are they putting the roof to the side? Are they demolishing it all? And then just, I have no idea.
Well, the thing is, there's 3 things going on. There's fixing the drainage into the stream. There's putting on the means of egress on each of the 7 buildings. And then the third thing is adding that third story to the building number 2, right?
Right.
Right.
So that's the third thing. So the third thing, I don't see where that is being ordered under the building inspector's order to do anything under any constraint. It's not really an emergency situation. And so that would then have to be coming under the seasonal restriction that, you know,
Right.
it wouldn't be allowed unless we granted a waiver.
I just think the way the draft, after Annie got the changes or the requested changes from you, the draft she sent out, in my mind, it doesn't make that distinction.
Well, yeah,
Keeps it
it
all
just
together.
says, this work requires immediate action.
Right.
I know what you're getting at. The only thing that I recall in a conversation, I can't even remember with who, was about the fact that the people that were living there, other than the gentleman who died, obviously, are displaced from where they were living. So the idea was trying to get those people back living in their residences. I don't know where they are. I don't know if they're put up in a motel. That's the only thing I recall. I think that's a little bit related to what you're getting at.
Right, but I guess
Well,
adding a third story is adding an additional 2 units. You're not trying to,
No, absolutely.
Oh.
I'm talking about, there's 4 units in the existing building,
I-
and it was the other 3 families. That's what
yeah, I have no issue, personally, I have no issue with doing the drainage right away and with doing the second means of egress for all whatever buildings are within our jurisdiction.
yeah,
I also don't have an issue if they were leaving the building as is to finish the inside, get the people in there if they go beyond November 1st. I mean, we saw the building, it's limited what's happening on the outside, it's all gonna be interior work, I have absolutely no issue with that. Even if they had to redo the roof, the shingles or something. What I'm concerned about is if you're adding a third story on, you're doing a lot of construction. Now, maybe if someone was here and said, oh, we're gonna be able to do that in a week and have it weather tight or whatever, that's, maybe that would change my mind, but it's a fine line, because there's been a lot of people who've come in and we've either charged them because they've ran late during the year, or we've had, many years ago, a developer came in and said, I don't care, I need to start these houses, and they paid whatever fee we agreed to start earlier, before April 15th. And this, we'd have to talk to Sam if, I'm not sure, but I can't imagine he said, oh, yeah, you have to add this third floor by December 31st. I don't see where that would come in.
Today's September 13th, right? There's a 10-day appeal period after the order is issued, correct?
Yeah.
Within which nothing can happen, at least,
yeah.
well, the emergency order and so forth. But I mean, it might even be a modular third floor. I don't know. That's not.
And what
And if that's the case, it could be over a month to get that, delivered and set by a crane.
Yeah.
I mean, the framing goes up fast. I know that. So it might make the 1 November deadline.
right, I guess
I just don't know.
right, what frustrates me is that we don't have any detail. Even,
Well,
you-
hold on a second. So, we don't specifically say in our orders, it's standard that you can't work during the seasonal restriction, whether we say it or not in the order, okay? So, we could pass this the way it is, and then it's up to the construction company. Come November 1st, if they are not done, then they are going to have to come in here and request a seasonal restriction waiver.
but not the way it's worded.
Oh, but it is.
I don't,
Because it's saying that the work that's an emergency can go on. And, you know-
The means of egress.
yeah, right.
but
right.
she's not specific about that. She says, due to the requirements of Mass General Law, et cetera, this work requires immediate action on notice by the Groveland Building Inspector, Groveland Fire Chief, and State Building Code Appeals Board, and therefore can be performed within the seasonal restriction. It doesn't, if that's specified, the second means of egress, and if you want, throw in the drainage, I'm fine with it. It's the third floor is, and like you said, maybe, even if it's December, if they're coming with a modular thing, and within 3 days, they're gonna be buttoned up and weather tight, and the theoretical amount of equipment moving around and making a mess is really little, that would change my mind a little bit, or at least,
Well,
I'm frustrated because we don't know, and I understand you're not doing that part of the project with them.
I know what you're getting at. I didn't know about the waiver from the seasonal restriction. I'll try to talk to Arrow Point tomorrow, because again, you know, that the construction of the third floor is not really, you know, in our purview. We're just doing the civil site stuff. But of course, I'm aware about the third floor addition. It's on our drawing. At least there's a note. I can discuss that with them. I know what you're getting at. I know what you're getting at. The means of egress are one thing. The third floor addition is kind of a separate animal.
Right. I mean, I would have,
no, so Tom.
personally, 2 months ago, I would have approved it just to do the egress. I mean,
So if we say this work excluding the third floor addition requires immediate action, blah, blah, blah. So we just put that in
Oh.
parentheses, excluding the third floor work, and then we can sign the order and give it.
yeah, I'm fine with it. I just didn't know, you know, she made
So-
the changes, you printed it
Oh,
out. What are we signing? Are you going to go in there and change it? before
No,
we sign
I
it?
can, you know, I mean, I can do that tonight, but Annie will change whatever, and we're gonna take a vote on it, so I'm not worried about that. We can sign it. I wanna be able to give them, the whole idea with having the meeting tonight was to be able to give the permit to the applicant so they could start moving on it.
Right.
So it would be ready, you know, tomorrow to come and pick up.
So in other words, they get a waiver or whatever you want to call it to the 1 November, 15 April to do the drainage and the means of egress.
Yep.
But the third floor would have to abide by the 1 November deadline, and if they wanted to go past that, they'd have to come back in and ask for a waiver.
Yes.
Did I hear that right?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yes. And at that time, you know, presumably you'd have more information about why we might consider it to be an emergency, you know, you gather more information about what they're doing and how long it's going to actually take to do it, which we don't have tonight. You don't have tonight, we don't know. So I think that maybe is the best solution. That way there, because otherwise, you know, we
continue
wouldn't
it
have
further.
the order,
Continue
yeah,
again.
right, which is kind of
Yeah,
ridiculous.
no, I mean, I don't want to do that. I just want to be fair to everybody else who's
Sure.
coming in front of us.
Oh,
with
yeah,
that
no,
construction.
no, I know. You know, what Tom says is correct. You know, because almost everyone that comes in with needing a seasonal restriction waiver has 100 reasons why they want it, and we have to be careful what we do because someone will use it against us. So that's why we're trying to be fair to everybody.
I understand.
Sure. So, does that make sense then if we put that in there, say this work, except for the third floor additions, requires immediate action? So we just add that except for the third floor addition, which means that the third floor addition work would then be subject to the seasonal restriction. And it could be that the contractor decides or doesn't get to that until the spring anyway, you know what I mean? We don't know. That makes sense, right? What do you think, Steph?
No, I agree with this entire conversation. Thank you.
Yeah, and what do you think, Bill? Does that make sense?
Yeah, the premise makes sense. I just want to check something. Is this also a seasonal waiver for the egress, or are we still saying we want it done before November 1st?
No, it specifically says, this, I'll read it to you. This is what it's going to say. Section 221 of the Town of Groveland Wetlands Protection Bylaw states that no work shall take place in a resource area or buffer zone between November 1st and April 15th. Due to the requirements of Mass General Law, Section 143, and Mass General Law, Section 148, this work, except for the third floor addition, requires immediate action on notice by the Groveland Building Inspector, Groveland Fire Chief, and the State Building Code Appeals Board, and therefore can be performed within the seasonal restriction. All other necessary requirements of the permit must be adhered to during that time frame. So
Okay.
I think, based on all that that says, with adding that one exception, which would mean that that would be subject to the seasonal restriction, whereas the other two items would not.
Yeah, no, I agree with the way you read it.
Okay.
I'll repeat, the only thing I can think of is that those people are displaced from their homes. And I don't know,
I think that would be the kind of thing, if you have information, they would come forward and say, here's why we're looking for a seasonal restriction waiver, and here's the reason.
okay,
And,
Okay.
and sometimes it's purely financial, sometimes there's mitigating circumstances.
like, it isn't, I wouldn't say it's completely like, building new houses in a subdivision or something, because they're not sold, people aren't living there. This one might be a little bit different, that those people were kind of innocent, and then they had the fire, and then they get pushed out.
Yeah.
I don't know where they are. Again, that's
I-
not my business either.
Yeah, no, I
But-
get it, I'm just,
So maybe part of a waiver, what you just said a minute ago. I'll explain that to Arrow Point tomorrow.
yeah, I mean, they're not being signaled out, and it's.
I know, you're trying to be fair to everybody.
Everybody else
I
has
understand.
either had to pay or has had to come here and say, here's why, whatever. Well, first of all, we can choose whether to grant it or not, and then the second part of that is whether we have a fee or not,
Whether what,
The-
Tom?
whether there's an associated fee with it or not.
Oh.
Difference, and maybe, I'm not sure, but the difference appears that if you're trying to get somebody back into a home, right, or an apartment, that structure is already there. This is an additional structure, right? There's nobody right now who was displaced by the third floor.
I agree. I just don't, I agree completely. I guess, I don't think it would be possible for the people to be moved back into their old apartments until the third floor is built, just because of construction. But
Understand,
I
and
agree
that's-
with you.
that's a valid reason for them to come forward and say, these are the reasons. And it can be because of the people. It can be because of the efficiency of building this and all those things. But as of today, as we've heard, the board, we don't have any details about
Yeah.
that construction at all.
I
So
don't
we just
either.
we just need that filled in. And
Yeah,
so,
And I
Yeah.
believe they went, if I have my facts correct, they went to the ZBA last week, so I gotta believe they're gonna take a month or two to probably decide.
Actually, at the last hearing, Annie said that they got approval for the third floor.
Oh, they got approval
Yeah.
last week, maybe, okay.
Not last week, but a while ago, Tom. So
Okay, I may be
So-
misinformed.
I think the only other thing they need is a building permit from Sam Jocelyn. Yeah, Annie spoke up. I don't know if you remember it, at least
I,
3-4 weeks.
I don't know, because I asked if Annie had any of the details, she goes, oh, they were just at ZBA,
'Cause
and she forwarded me.
I think she's the agent for appeals also.
Right, so I was under the impression that was the first meeting, I could be incorrect in that. Regardless, though, yeah, I've already said my concern, so they would just have to come and speak to, if they can't get it done by November 1st, then come speak to us.
Understood. Yeah.
So, that would give you the time and the applicant the time to go back and build their case. So they've got at least a month to put all the facts together in a written form requesting a seasonal restriction waiver.
Got it.
And
Yep.
I'd like to understand if there's a little bit of, if they could give like a, here's how we're gonna do it. Like you said, is it a modular thing with like a crane in 1 or 2 days? Is it a, stick-built, but it's
Construction sequence and schedule.
just a very rough idea? Like, is there gonna be
Right.
debris all over the place? Or are they gonna lift all the material up one day and then, 5 days later, you wouldn't even notice anything's wrong with it or different about it, so.
Yeah, I mean, it's potential that they could do it because they just got to frame the thing and the rest of it's
Right.
the interior work, which isn't covered by the restriction. So, and they may only need like a couple of days waiver or
Right.
something,
Right. It'd be great if they could get all the foundation work for the stairs in, like, next week, so that something grows a little bit before the wintertime comes, and then build it whenever,
I
but,
think they're using
the
helical anchors.
Oh, okay.
Screw-in anchors, those are really cool. No sonotubes, no concrete,
Yeah.
no soil
yeah,
displacement.
they don't
It's,
disturb anything.
they're,
yeah.
and they're strong. 20, 30 years ago, they were expensive. They were considered specialty foundations. Not anymore. They're really common for that, for reasons like this.
Right.
And there's more contractors out there that do those. So it's my understanding that that's what they're using here. Yep. All right.
Okay, good. Any other questions? All right. So I'll make a motion to close the hearing for One Manor Drive notice of intent and issue the orders of condition as we've discussed, with the exception added that says this work, except for the third floor addition work, requires immediate action in item number 5 on the orders of condition.
I'll second that.
All right, let's see. Any further discussion on the motion? No? All right, we'll take a vote then. Roll call. Stephanie?
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
Mike, yes. Bill?
Aye.
4-4-1, recusal, abstention. Passes. All right, so let's sign this one, and then I'll give it to Annie and have her just change that so we can give it to the applicants for tomorrow. Is it down there?
I thought,
Yep.
didn't we,
I think I have it.
okay.
I'll even sign it. You guys have no problem with that.
Yeah,
It'd be good to get 4 signatures on it.
And this commission requires the applicant to record the order, correct?
yes,
Correct.
Yeah.
Before
We give
construction.
proof to Annie.
yep.
Yep. I think it can all be done online now.
I don't know about orders.
I think you put a PDF in the portal, or whatever the heck they call it.
Yeah.
Instead of driving down the sale.
Yeah, I know.
And how many people have objected in the 10-day waiting period, just historically?
Maybe 1 or 2 in the last 20 years that I remember.
It's-
Really?
Yeah,
Most of the time, any objections come up during discussion, and
1 or 2 in 20 years?
Do you want?
I don't
Just
recall
put
any,
an X through
but
that
he's
page
much more
so
involved
that-
in
This
it.
one?
So,
Pretty rare.
really rare.
number 5.
The 10-day, many people take the risk,
Yeah, yeah.
but it is a
We
risk.
should probably,
Put a
Yeah,
link
so just
in.
put an X through
Calculated
that
risk.
page. That way there, we can't give it out. 'cause it'll-
But is he gonna file it tomorrow?
Yeah, but
Nobody can object to the
Annie's
safety
gonna be in
thing
here,
that's
she's
been
gonna
mandated
reprint
by,
that page
I mean, I guess
with
people
the
can object,
changes.
Yeah, the building inspector
And
is.
then so-
Building inspector said you gotta do it.
Yeah, so.
The
we
fire
can make
department
him
said
go
you
back
gotta do
tomorrow
it.
and pick that up?
Yeah,
We said you can
Okay,
do
I
it
just
during
wanted-
our seasonal restriction.
Well, or can you add language that says
So anyway,
third floor excluded or something?
yeah, but Annie's gotta reprint that page. She's just gotta reprint that one page.
Okay.
So that, not that page, but the next page.
So this and here.
Yeah, I don't think that says it there. Oh, yeah, it does, okay. I'm
Huh.
sorry, I have a different version on my
I feel like I'm
computer.
signing a, what do you call it? Papers for a house.
Death warrant.
Death warrant, no. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, all right, good.
You have a pen? Stephanie, winner with the pen tonight.
all right.
All right,
Am I all set?
yes,
Okay.
thank you, Paul.
Thanks for having the special hearing tonight. I know you guys moved it up just for us.
Well, we're hoping to not have one 2 weeks from now. So really,
Yeah.
it really, half of one, 6 dozen of the
I
other.
don't have anything else coming up on the agendas.
I just have one quick thing, and then we'll probably be out of
But
here.
I meant
Oh,
for-
no.
Well,
for 2 weeks
you gotta
from now.
close the
Oh,
hearing?
yeah, no, yeah, I don't think there's anything on, she doesn't have any filings, so we're not under the gun to meet.
Yeah. So, really doesn't matter.
Yep, yep. Thanks
Great.
again.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for
Right.
coming.
Bye.
All right, so Terry, you want to make a motion about the next meeting?
I move that we have our next meeting on the second Wednesday of October, which is,
The 11th? No. The 10th, possibly?
It is October
Mike.
11th.
October 11th, and not September 27th, unless something comes up of an urgent nature.
Yeah,
Do you need something, Bill?
Yeah, I need to excuse myself. I have a work meeting I gotta get on to.
oh, yeah, okay,
We still got 4. Carry on.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Okay,
Bill.
thanks.
thanks,
Bye.
Bill. All right, so let's take a vote on this, just for the sake of clarity here. So
We
there's a
don't need to do
motion.
roll call now, so.
Oh, yeah, right. So there's a motion who seconded it? Motion to move our next meeting to October 11th.
I don't know if anybody
A
seconded
second.
it.
Oh, okay.
All right.
All right, any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Passes 4-0. Okay, I have one other item. We don't have to take a vote on it, I just want to tell people about it. So I am ready to sign this agreement with our town administrator, and it is regarding the insurance renewal for VZ Memorial Park for the fiscal year 2024. And in the past, it has not been clear who would be responsible for paying the insurance bill. And every year, it's confusing to everybody involved about what's going on almost until the end of the fiscal year. So this year, Rebecca has proposed that we split the cost of the insurance between the town's insurance account and the VZ revolving fund. And the bill is for $19,590.80. And so,
After that, or that's our?
yeah, we're going to pay 50% of that, and the town's insurance fund will pay the other 50%. So we'll be paying $9,795.40, and the town's insurance fund will pay the remainder, $970.95.40.
That sounds pretty reasonable, actually.
Yes, yes.
I mean, both the amount and the fact that they're splitting,
Yes.
both of
Um,
those things are reasonable.
There is enough money in the revolving fund to do this because it's not a one lump sum payment. There's like monthly payments. So we'll pay, we'll probably end up paying about 7 of the payments and the town will pay the other 7. So it works out fine.
Isn't that a 14-month year?
Well, no, whatever.
I'm just kidding, I'm just kidding.
5 and 5. I think there's a total of 10 payments. Yes.
So it's just
Is-
informative, that's not
Yes.
anything we need to, great.
Yes.
So is the
Okay.
distinction between VZ is because that has other sources of income that the town does not necessarily control, and we put it into the revolving account? Because I'm trying to think of like, what else is owned by the town that the town doesn't pay 100% for? I mean, maybe the school stuff, but that's a whole different
Yes.
budget.
Well, here's the thing. Why do we even have a separate insurance policy
Right.
when no other building in town has a separate insurance policy? That is because in 2015, we had a large claim due to ice dams in the main building, and we incurred damages of almost $250,000, which the insurance company paid, and then within the next year, they refused to insure us anymore. So then we were forced to go look for insurance because we didn't have any, especially liability insurance, opened the town up to, lawsuits. So we were able to, if you remember Heather Menninger, remember?
Yeah.
She found a company that worked really hard to find us coverage, because we couldn't get coverage. And so we've had that same company then ever since, and we've been paying for it since then. The town has chipped in to varying amounts over the years, and we've paid varying amounts over the years. So this sets a precedent, at least going forward, of what will be done, which is very good. Last year, Rebecca attempted to get the town's insurance company to consider adding this back into the town's total insurance package. And again, they didn't, which, personally I think is ridiculous, but they named other reasons why they weren't going to cover VZ, which was ridiculous, like I say. So that's why we still have to do this. It's sad, but unfortunate, but
Oh, wow.
Well, it still seems like a very reasonable amount, and we probably would be paying almost that much if we were using the town's insurance.
well, no, because when the town covered it, we didn't pay anything.
Okay, so you're saying VZ wouldn't pay anything, but I'm saying the overall cost to insure it,
I don't know what the cost was before, they never broke it out. So who knows, you know what I mean? There's no question, it's expensive, and it goes up every year,
Right,
So we
right.
started out, I think it was like 14,000, now it's up to 19,000 something, so it's probably not sustainable in the long term, but
I don't want to go down the rabbit hole now, because I also don't know the details, but I would think from the town's interest, we should dig into why is it so expensive and why are they refusing? What specifically about that venue? Because we have sports fields where people do stuff, we have docks.
yep.
School is probably separate, I can imagine, but again, we're not going to solve it now, but like if they would say, oh, if you guys would just do X, Y, and Z at VZ, we would include it in the town and whatever, and maybe that's,
put a handrail on that staircase.
again, I don't know, or maybe it's, I have no idea what their reasoning could be.
Yeah, I don't know.
That just seems, 20,000 is a large piece of land and there's a couple of buildings, but wow.
Yep.
Well, but there's also a lot of people, there's a lot of event things that happen where
where things are out of control of the organizers.
Well, I get it, like, they'll allow an alcohol permit, but you have to have a police officer there.
You got kids sledding into trees, you know, there's.
I know, but that, and
It does, to me, it doesn't sound like it's an unreasonable amount of money, but,
yeah, I'm just,
but it is a lot of money.
it just seems it would make sense the town, we should try and figure this out so that it's all one, whether, regardless of who's paying what and where the money has come from.
Yes.
It just,
Yeah.
why is it its
there's
own little entity?
No question, it would be cheaper if it was rolled into the other account, you know, the normal coverage of the whole town. Where you have one separate place, it's always going to be more expensive, you know what I mean? Because it's focused on that one. You can't spread the cost and the risk across the whole thing.
All right, is
So-
it time to move to adjourn, or? do
No,
we have-
I just want to mention one other thing related to VZ. So I will sign that agreement and give it to, I just don't like to sign things like that large amount of money without letting the commission know.
Thank
The other thing is that, I think I mentioned this before, that the town is, under CPA, was approved a study that is looking at the future of VZ Park as far as the management, particularly of the buildings, the event facility, and a few other things thrown in there. And so that got underway in July, and it's ongoing. I'm hoping that we might be able to get something in the next couple months, but certainly before the end of the year. So, in the meantime, a group called an organization called the Friends of VZ has been working on what they would like to see happen for the future. You know, the way it is now, the VZ is under the care, custody, and control of the commission. We can't get away from that. We can't give up control, but we can, you know, lease out certain things and we can put agreements in place where, say, somebody could come in and run certain aspects of it, and as long as they were reporting to us and maybe paying us a certain fee, or depending upon what they were doing there, that could be done. I mean, we do that now. People rent out space. We have tenants there who live there, and they're leasing the space from us. We don't have control over them and what they do, but, you know, we still have care and custody control of the whole place. So it will never go away that we have care, custody, and control of that place. No matter what anybody says, we will always have to have that. It's built into the whole state agreement that we've got. So, but the Friends of VZ is interested in taking a more active role in what goes on in certain things at VZ Park. So they would like to come and talk to us at our next meeting, which, you know, might be October 11th, and just have a two-way conversation. They can tell us a little bit about their thoughts. And you know, we would be prepared to listen to them in conjunction with that other study that's being done.
Sounds
and
great.
How it might all fit together.
I am, selfishly, I'm traveling that time,
Yep.
so if.
You
I mean,
prefer to-
have the
to-
meeting, but if they can't delay it or whatever, then just have it without me, I'll read the minutes, but
Yep.
I just.
All right, so we'll see, you know, might be the one in the end of October.
Yeah, there is some urgency, I would think, so we don't want to put people off.
I don't even know if they're available that date, but it could be the end of October, which would be the 25th, I think. All right.
All right, what else you got, Mike?
I believe that is all that we have on our agenda, and I don't think we have any other items not reasonably anticipated at the time of
Wait for it,
posting.
wait for it.
Second.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Any discussion on the motion?
None whatsoever.
All right, all in favor of adjournment at 7:49 PM?
Aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you.
And